Hi, this is Julie Bort with Business Insider. I'm here with Beth Brady, CMO of Principal Financial. Hi, thanks so much for being with us. So we've been having a great conversation. You've been telling me so many interesting things about your job. One of the things that you told me is that this job that you're in now was a huge departure for you. So tell me a little bit about your career, how you got here.
Yeah, so I grew up as a classic marketer, and I spent my whole career in packaged goods, working for companies like Beths Foods and Diageo, and General Mills was the one I was at most recently. And I marketed things like corn oil and granola bars and Hamburger Helper. And products that were very tangible. And I was having a great time. I took 2 years and went and worked for Nielsen to really understand the world of analytics and to understand the world of big data and digital and how it was driving decision making. And then I got a call from Principal for this chief marketing officer job that would include the marketing and branding side as well as the analytics side, and in financial services in Des Moines, Iowa. And I didn't think at the time that I would ever be in Des Moines, Iowa, but here it is 2 years and 4 months later, and I took that job. So
it was full of opportunities and challenges, right?
Yeah.
They said, come, bring us your ideas. How did that work out?
So the reason that they brought me on was because the CEO at the time, Larry, realized that we as an industry, and particularly Principal as a company, were underestimating the importance of marketing and branding, and we weren't staffing it appropriately, and we didn't have the right attention and resources against it. So they went on a search to find somebody that could kind of change the game for the company. So that's why they hired me. And so when they hired me, they said, the first thing we want you to do is we want you to fix our brand. We think it's broken, we know it's important, and we don't have a lot of unity, so can you come and fix the brand? So it was interesting because everybody, I report into the CEO, and my peer group, I met with them all, and they said, we love the fact that you're going to do this. This is great, we really need to fix this brand. We don't think it can be done. And so that was like the beginning of my journey with Principal. And I kind of smiled because what I realized is that a company like Principal that was still learning about marketing and branding and what it was defining brand as our products. And they weren't defining them as what it is that we do, what is our purpose.
So what is branding? I mean, then what is it?
So it's not your products. It's about what you stand for. What it is you see, yes, here we are. But it's about why you do what you do. It's not what you do. So we had to go back and figure out who we are as a company and what matters to us. And we built a brand house, and we did it in very fast order, that is built upon our culture and what we as a culture stand for. And nowhere in that brand house do we have anything about financial services, or do we have anything about our products? Because they will change over time. And I like to give the example of Disney. Disney does not say our brand is theme parks, or our brand is, pretty princess dresses or movies. They say we stand for imagination. And so under that umbrella, that brand umbrella of imagination, they can do so many things, but it's very true to what Disney's about. So we needed to find out what was true to us, and that was the branding work we went through. And
I understand that you had this sort of big, like one of your big pushes was this sort of symbolic retirement of someone named Eddie.
Yeah.
Tell us about that.
And this was one of those things when I came on board. We had this character called Eddie. So I've been in packaged goods, and I've had the doughboy and the honeybee and the Trix rabbit and all of those things I've worked with over the years. But we had a character named Eddie who was kind of this overweight, balding guy that represented us. And people thought he was the brand. Well, of course he wasn't. He was just an execution. But for where we were heading, he was no longer a relevant expression of who we were. And so, we had him for 10 or so years, 10, 15 years. And so rather than just have him disappear one day, we did a campaign in the fall of 2016 that retired him. we're a company that does retirement. So we retired Eddie, and at the
As
same
part
time,
of a campaign.
Yes, we had advertising and a whole social campaign, and then we asked people out there, what are your retirement goals? What do you want to do in retirement? They would send them into us, and then we had illustrators animate it and put it back out there on social media. And this campaign got so much attention, but the biggest thing was it was a respectful way for us to kind of say goodbye to our past and prepare ourselves for the new work that was coming under the new brand. And the new brand is about real people, real lives, real stories. So an animated character no longer kind of reflects that. So
Was it helpful for you behind the scenes to help, give the idea of all your new ideas for the people that you work with? I understand it was a lot of different people involved.
Yeah, so when I came on board, one of the things that I realized when I worked at Nielsen, so at General Mills, I had a huge team working for me. I go to Nielsen and I have no one reporting to me. And I'm kind of reporting in through the senior structure, and I basically, everything I get done has to get done by influencing. And it taught me a really important lesson about how to get work done. Just because you have a title and people working for you doesn't mean that you're going to get, cooperation. You have to make sure that people want to work with you. So in doing this, I could have gone in and said, here, I'm going to build this brand, I'm the expert, and you all will accept it. But instead I said, I'd rather bring in people from all over the company and have them collaborate with us and have them feel part of it, representing their company, because people were scared about what we might be doing. And so I built this team that I called the brand ambassadors, and we went through the process together. And so early on, I had a lot of cooperation, a lot of collaboration, but more than anything, I got the input of people that had been in the company a long time and could say, that might not work because, it doesn't fit with asset management, or if we're going to go down this path, we might need to make this adjustment. So I think that allowed us to bring the correct expression of who we are to the table that worked for everybody.
But you had to bring in marketing technology that they weren't familiar with.
Yes, so lots of, since I've come on board, my first goal was get the branding done. And then the next thing was, how are we going to advance our measurement? The third thing is, how are we going to leverage technology to be more efficient, more effective in our communications, in everything we do around marketing? And then there's the analytics. How do we better analyze everything we're doing? How do we measure brand? How do we measure advertising?
So can you give us a tip? How do you measure brand and advertising?
So we've brought on some capabilities around multi-touch attribution modeling, brand power modeling, customer loyalty, and those are all very sophisticated analytic techniques that didn't exist. So advanced modeling that says, did this ad drive a stronger brand? Did this ad drive more sales? Did this ad increase loyalty and retention? And so we can model all that out. And so in bringing brand, in bringing new advertising, we're also bringing these other capabilities.
So it's all of it. So you had to influence people, you had to bring them along, you had to come up with new ideas, and then you had to measure and use the data.
Yes.
So you had to do the whole package.
Yes.
So I'm curious too. Now this is your this is your first CES.
It is.
We're hearing it in the background.
Yeah, we are.
It's exciting and busy and live. And so I understand that you wandered around CES and it gave you a really big aha moment. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Yeah. So, as I mentioned before, the thing about working in financial services that's been really challenging for me is, for my entire career, I've marketed things that were tangible. A can of soup, a dough, a box of cake mix. And I came to financial services, and our products aren't tangible. They aren't things that people can touch and feel. And in addition to that, they're very intimidating and confusing, and we don't do ourselves any favors as an industry because we kind of make it that way. We're somewhat unwelcoming. And so I was trying to figure out, how do I make this easier for people when they can't quite grasp what we have? And I came to an aha moment when I looked around and I started speaking with some of my peers and other companies like Google and New York Times. And I realized
Right, they don't make boxes of cereal either.
they don't either, and they have intangible kinds of things. It's information, and I realized that what we were really needing to sell wasn't the product, but was the experience that the product delivered. So life insurance delivers security. And when I looked around, I realized that all this technology is allowing us to, or can enable us to bring experience to life. Virtual reality can allow us to do storytelling. Artificial intelligence can allow us to help people navigate the confusion. And so it made me realize that it doesn't matter the intangibility of what we have. It's a matter of bringing it to what matters to people.
So give me a practical tip. Like, how does this influence hiring? Like,
So marketing has changed drastically since I started. When it was, I hate to date myself, but there was no internet. We didn't have a digital plan, and it was pretty much traditional media, TV, radio, out of home, that was the traditional media. Now it's just multi-touch points, and there's so much going on. And so the skill set that is required for marketing has changed. So for me, I look for people that have marketing strategy, understand marketing, and really strategic thinking, plus journalism, because we're a communications industry.
Interesting.
Plus software understanding, because technology is driving it. Plus analytics, because we need to measure whether or not our marketing is effective. So I look for marketing plus, and I tell anybody that says, how can I someday get your job? I say, understand marketing plus. One of those other things, and if more than one, even better, because it is a highly technical function now, and it's changed so much in the years, and it's going to continue to change as technology drives a lot of the way we do our business.
And your industry has really undergone a lot of change. The mobile phone has really completely changed finance. So tell me how you think about technology, how that's changed, and a little bit about the future. Like, what are you expecting the future to bring as everything moves to the phone?
So, I'll tell you a little bit about the brand journey that we've been on. So when I came to Principal, like a lot of companies, fairly old school in terms of financial services, doing it the old school way. As we brought brand in, the number one thing we said is we need to become a more human company. We need to be human. We need about real people.
So that's really interesting. So as everything goes mobile, everything goes sort of cyber, you need to think about being human.
Right.
I don't know
and how does that work, right?
Do
So mobile and digital and all of these are ways to deliver humanity in what we do. So there's a delivery method of our communications, and then there's what we stand for. And in this world where 2008, the financial services the crisis really led to a complete lack of trust now in financial services. And it continues to be a problem as things happen, like what's happened with Wells Fargo and others. So we as an industry have to step back and say, how do we make ourselves more approachable? And the only way to do that is to become more human, to admit mistakes, to have conversations, to not talk at people, but to talk with people, to understand what they want and to deliver against their needs, to not tell them, what we do, but to tell them what we do for them. And so all of that is about being more human, but more than anything, it's about saying it simply. We are so full of jargon and so full of corporate speak and so full of acronyms, and eliminating all of that.
And bringing all of this closer to the people using your services is helping, right? Is that what you're saying?
That's right.
Yeah.
And so then
Amazing.
leveraging technology to bring that humanity and that understanding of what we do. And it's really a combination, because one of the things we've learned is, like the medical profession, financial services is one where people will do some of their own, studying. They'll go on and they'll figure out, what I might need. But when it comes to making some of these decisions, they'd like to work with a human, with a professional. And so it's that combination that we have to figure out, how does technology help us deliver that? And I think of WebMD, where you can, look and say, I have all these symptoms, okay, now, but I want to actually go to a chat with a doctor and find out, is that really what I have? And so we have that opportunity as well. And so I think a lot of the technology we see around here can enable that.
Excellent, great.
Yeah.
So interesting to think about. Thank
Yeah.
you so much for joining us
Welcome.
today.